Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Phoenix and this is the Consumer's Guide to Filmmaking. Squid Game 2, 2024, Hwang Dong-hyuk. Taking place 2 years after the events of Season 1, Ji-hun has devoted his life and newly won fortune into hunting down the people behind the twisted gladiator arena he suffered through, joining forces with Officer Jun-ho to find out who runs the games and how they can be stopped. However, Ji-hun makes the startling decision to voluntarily re-enter the games. Now back on the inside, with Jun-ho left to track him down outside, Ji-hun must find a way forward while reliving the madness of these games all over again. This was pretty much what I expected it to be. Whether that is a good or a bad thing, we will find out as I elaborate further. Anyone expecting anything extraordinary from this, I think will be sorely disappointed. Much like Your Honor, full review of Season 1 on the channel, I found it incredibly bizarre that Squid Game got a second season at all. Like, sure, they set up a second season, but we really didn't need one. The story and the ideas were wrapped up pretty cleanly, and continuing it after the Season 1 finale wasn't wholly necessary. Hwang Dong-hyuk drew gigadimes with that first season, and he could have ridden into the sunset. But hey, people felt more dimes could be drawn with this, and a second season happened. Okay, so when we get into the nitty-gritty of this, what do we get with Squid Game 2? Well, we get more Squid Game. The story this season starts in a fairly interesting manner, as we are far removed from the first season's structure. It essentially starts as this detective thriller with that heaping helping of Korean black comedy that we all love. But realizing that all the normies want is the gimmick, we end up back doing the fucking Squid Games. Now, to be kind to this season, they did sort of add little wrinkles to it. Red light, green light saw Ji-hun gaming the system and allowing lots of people to survive. The other sections with games were different in concept, but played out in much the same way as the other season, and that wasn't all that interesting aside from being, fun. Dong-hyuk did the same showrunner was part of the game bit this season, but this time, he does it to explicitly engage in this philosophical debate between Ji-hun and the guy running the Squid Game. It's that classic debate of human nature, having to determine whether we are naturally greedy and evil or are being exploited by the upper classes, yada yada yada, you get it. This season also examines the choice of people to be a guard in the game, like working for the people running it. One character takes this job as a guard, and we have to see her do despicable things merely to make a living. That was probably one of the most interesting aspects of this season, and I hope the next season expands on it. This all leads to the contestants staging a mutiny in the season finale, putting a halt to the competition, which is decent fodder for the next, and thankfully last, season of this. While predictable, it was a mechanically fine way to subvert the structure of the first season, I suppose. Look, it's not that the writing is bad. It's honestly pretty good. It spells its ideas out a little plainly, but they are nonetheless interesting ideas. As well, the characters in this season, at least the ones that got some significant screen time, all had interesting gimmicks. I think the most fascinating one was the guy who pulled a crypto pump and dump scam, a la Logan Paul and Haley Hawktua Welch. Why that character is so fascinating is because compared to everyone else who were victims of very bad circumstances and poor decision making, this guy actually deserves every bit of bad fortune because he maliciously stole from people. He's not really sympathetic like everyone else, so this sick gladiator arena is almost a punishment for him. Acting-wise, most of the cast returned for this season along with some new faces. Lee Jung-jae returns as Ji-hun, and he manages to drastically change how Ji-hun is portrayed. This character now comes off as a little more grizzled and more world-weary. Fuck. The Russian roulette scene with the messenger was a great example of this, because Season 1 Ji-hun would have probably been pissing himself, but this season, he was just ready to eat a bullet because he just didn't give a fuck. While we're at it, Gong Yu's performance as the messenger slash recruiter was great. In this season, he really got to stretch his legs and ham it up, really giving off an unhinged and intimidating aura. The great Byung-hun Lee returns as the game runner, game master person, and his performances while in the Squid Game arena were fascinating. It was cool watching him work Ji-hun into thinking he's a good dude. In terms of new faces, South Korean rapper T.O.P. portrays a rapper called Thanos, and this guy was doing some god tier heel work. Everything out of this guy's mouth was utter fucking poison. Especially when he started spouting English phrases in the most cringeworthy, random-ass manner. He was so fucking annoying. He was so perfect for the role. And he earned that smile for me when he got a fucking fork to the throat. It was brilliant. Park Sung-hoon plays Hyun-ju, a trans woman, and this character easily could have been Netflix just shoving things down her throat, but this character and her scenes were presented very well. Sung-hoon was incredibly charming and captivating in every scene he had, especially when explaining why this character took part in the Squid Game. Moving on to filmmaking, Dong-hyuk proved himself a very capable director with the first season, and this season is definitely up to par in terms of maintaining the show's unique aesthetic. The cinematography and editing is just as tight, flowing, and precise as in that first season. The Russian roulette games in this season were nail-biting, the first more so than the second. The second one, between Ji-hun and the messenger, it was effective, but it was a little contrived. The pentathlon game was super exciting in terms of editing. It was very fun. The beautiful top-down shots during the Mingle game were pretty damn cool. It's a nice show visually. Production design-wise, it's also up to snuff. The same cool sets as before. We also get some fun new ones as well. The Mingle game was really nicely built. As well, the repurposed one from the cookie game last season was nicely used, and I forgot it was just the same set with some props removed. The costumes are just as interesting as before because they're the same. You know, the pink guys with the PlayStation button masks, that's fun. That's some iconic imagery. I'm sure lots of people are going to go out as that next Halloween because Squid Game, yeah. Anyways, the gore and the blood in this show is your typical Korean cinema feast of gunshots and stab wounds, all brilliantly presented. Everything had tons of impact, and the squibs were big and cleanly used. Good stuff. The music was the same, more or less, but I think I noticed this time around that it could be a bit of an overbearing presence. The pieces themselves are perfectly good and vary in terms of tone and genre. The weird child voice doing their creepy staccato singing is a great theme song for the show. There are some fun, shreddy rock guitar passages throughout as well, but during certain scenes, the music became really, really manipulative and over-insisted on the emotions that we should be feeling during them. The big moment when the contestants rally against the game master and these cheesy guitars start wailing in the background, it was way too much for me. Whew. So now that I've got that out of my system, what is the verdict on Squid Game 2? Well, I think it's perfectly good. This season continues the story of Squid Game in an amicable manner. But even with some new wrinkles in the formula, it's not really doing enough new things to get me fully excited. It has game performances, some fun filmmaking, and it is admittedly quite entertaining, but I just thought Squid Game 1 was a lot more of a fresh and interesting thing. If you liked Squid Game 1, you'll probably like Squid Game 2. Maybe even more than me, who knows. Either way, I'm fairly interested in seeing how Squid Game 3 turns out. And I am feeling a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10 on this one. I think it's a little closer to a 6.5 than it is a 7, but it's still pretty fun. Yeah. Catch you later, guys.